You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of birth pains. Then you will be handed over to be persecuted and put to death, and you will be hated by all nations because of me.
Hey, yes, my friends, this is the Unsealed Podcast, the official podcast of Wings of the Eagle. I'm Christopher, hopefully your friend. And if you're a Christian, I'm your brother in Christ. Yes, I'm a pastor. Just so happens that that's where I'm at. But blessings to all y'all. Thank you for checking in. Good evening if you're on the other side of the earth, which our brother here is. Good evening, sir. Love you, man. Thank you for checking in. But even if you're not, even if you're just down the road, bondservant, blessings. Thank you very much for checking in. Bri, bless the Lord, brother. Yeah, it is interesting, man. Yeah, for sure. So please share this video. I know someone has already done that, or a few of you have. Thank you so much. Please share it, especially on YouTube. That's the best way. But the X platform is good as well. But YouTube helps us get the word out and sustain what we're doing. So if this is helpful to you, please consider supporting the work. We have a Patreon page in progress right now. It's not a finished product, but it is there for you. I forgot to put my special green lights on in the back. Oh, well. If you're on audio only, obviously, that's irrelevant to you, but I welcome you just the same. Please feel free to share it on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and whatever else. You can find the official page of this podcast at wingsoftheeagle.com/podcast. And I encourage you to go there because if today's message or topic resonates with you to the point of, wow, I've actually seen something, and I'm speaking to Christians specifically, but obviously you don't have to be, but this is, obviously my world, my people, okay? My people, some of my parishioners, so to speak, are listening to this right now. And so I want to make it okay to know that, for you to know that if you're a believer and follower of Jesus Christ, that you can see UFOs too. And it doesn't mean something demonic is happening, or you should be worried, or you're going to be laughed at and ridiculed, which most of the time is what happens. So please utilize, there's a form built into the podcast page at wingsoftheeagle.com/podcast. By the way, you can see all the episodes and hear all the episodes there, as well as find that form and a button to support the work here. So please do that. Any and all of that would be greatly appreciated. Okay. There's even a button. By the way, if you're not subscribed on YouTube to get new notifications when we do go live, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit the bell and all that good stuff under this video. You also see the links for the page is what I'm talking about. Okay. Here's the story. All right. I'm just going to get right to it. And then you tell me what you think or whatever. I was traveling this weekend, Friday and Saturday, and just a few hours from my home base, but my current home base. I used to live in northern New Jersey, so I happened to be going through that area and down the good old New Jersey Turnpike. If you know the area, you know that highway. It's the main north-south artery. The only one really in New Jersey, so that goes the whole way. A beautiful day, Saturday morning, this past Saturday. Let me get my notes out here so I tell the story correctly. And by the way, before I forget, because I'm sorry, I'm going to do this first because I'm going to forget. You see on the screen, hopefully you can make it out. I'm running a poll on the X platform. If you follow me there, Mantei4, Mantei4. Just type that in. That's my name. And I put a poll up last night, so it'll run through tonight at 11 p.m. Eastern. It asks simply, have you ever personally seen a UFO or UAP, whatever you want to call it? Have you ever? The options are never, 1 time, 2 times, or 3 times or more. And as of now, it's not a scientific poll or anything like that, but the people who have answered so far is very interesting. The never is the top vote getter at 38.5%, which is not a huge lead over second place, which is 3 or more times. That's surprising to me. And basically that means it's over 6 of 10, over 60, percent have the people who responded to this. And again, please, even if you've never seen one, it doesn't matter. Just go and say never. More than 60% have seen a UFO at least once. So that, I don't know if that, blows up your worldview or confirms it, but please go there and participate. Okay, now then, now you may know that I have in my distant past, when I was 9-ish or so years old, at my grandparents' house with my grandma and my brother one night, she woke us up, go, hey, look at that. And it's right in over our the backyard there. There's a river or a creek basically behind our property, and then there's a lot of woods, and then behind that is an old, at that time was the Ford plant that used to build the Ford Thunderbird car. Anyway, so in that area of the sky, it's much lower than stars and whatever, just a light that was just hanging out. Okay, it's sitting there. That's all I remember. I can't tell you, I didn't see come from or go to anywhere. In fact, the memory is very short. That's all it is. And that was the extent of my experience until 5 days ago, Saturday. Driving home, I passed through the same town. In fact, I stopped at the same house where that original event happened, just to kind of take a picture. It's been a while since I was there. And obviously it's built up much more now. There are many more neighbors now than there used to be and whatever. But just got a few photos there, and I'm continuing on my way. And as I'm continuing on my way, it is around, and I made a note of this right after, but it's right around mile marker 44 on the New Jersey Turnpike, if you want to get your Google Maps out, which is the near exit 5, which is the Burlington Mount Holly exit. The time was approximately 10:44 a.m. So yes, mile marker 44 at 10:44. Make of that what you will. Clear sky, beautiful day, gorgeous day. If you live in the Northeast, the night before was very stormy, right? There's a lot of storms that blew through. And just as normally after summer thunderstorms, there's gorgeous day the next day. So it is almost no clouds and none in the part of the sky that I'm looking, which is, straight ahead. Obviously, I'm on the highway. I'm on the fast lane. But the cars are, for New Jersey, it's very empty. There was 10 car lengths between me and the next guy. And I often, you see those larger black birds. I don't even know. I'm a bird fan. Okay, and I love birds. I think that's God's greatest creation, basically, other than humans, I guess. Although humans are touch and go. So anyway, I love watching them soar over. You know how it is when you have a great day and they're soaring high above the tree tops, right? They're just kind of gliding up there and doing their thing. So I saw, and they're kind of solitary. They're never in like packs or whatever. So I saw one as usual, just doing his thing. I'm like, oh, how nice. I'm on this nice day, nice road, calm on my way home. And I see one of these birds, but then I think it's behind the bird. I can't be positive, but it looked like it was behind it. Could have been next to it, but I'm pretty sure it's behind it. I see as this is just the straight truth, you guys. Okay, yes, I'm a pastor. Now listen, I'm never gonna deny this story. I'm never gonna change it. This is exactly what happened. I see an object. It's metallic looking. I mean, reflective or chrome-ish, silvery. Maybe it could have been white, I suppose. But my first, it looks spherical, spherish, maybe. But it was, to my judging of how far it was, I thought it was pretty far away. Because my first impression was, oh, it's just like a jet that's, like super high up when they're really cruising high. You see, they look very small. In my vision, it's about that big, behind the bird. And I figured it was just one of those. But it wasn't moving. There was no contrail. There was no movement at all. Clearly, I'm in my car moving, so I couldn't tell you anything about sound or any other details. I'm just trying not to crash at this point. Okay, right? I see what is that, and I'm looking down the road, making sure I'm okay. I'm not gonna crash, and but I'm looking up as much as I can to get detail and thinking, oh my gosh, is this a UFO thing? I better remember everything right now. And I know I can't record it. I'm sorry. I'm in my car. Literally driving with two hands, trying not to crash. Video is not an option. I couldn't pull over. Anyway, the point is, it happened so fast. It was only a couple of seconds. And I'm thinking maybe 30 seconds total. And it's gone. It's gone. I didn't see it leave. I didn't see it speed off. It's just 1 second it's there and it's gone. The same area of the sky. I didn't pass it, right? Like go under where it was or whatever. It was very in the distance still. So we're clear. I don't know if it just disappeared into another dimension or something, or if it sped off so fast I just couldn't tell, or something else happened. I don't know. It was there and then it wasn't. That's what happened. What did I miss here on my notes? Metallic looking sphere-like object, completely stationary, never moved. Thought it may have been a very high plane, but no movement, no contrail, etc. Looking at road and back up within 30 seconds, it disappeared. That's it. And so first thing I did was, now again, it could have been, I didn't have a lot of eyeball time on it. Okay. I don't know how high it was exactly. It was very tough to judge. It seemed pretty high. It seemed like a sphere or an orb, but it could have been different. It could have been a longer, an elongated, ovalish, tic-tac-ish shape. It could have been. I don't know. It could have been one of these guys that doesn't keep a shape. If you've seen those videos and stuff, if you've seen one in person, if you have, please comment right now. So I can't say for sure about that, but it was generally round, and reflective. It looked metallic. It like typical. I couldn't even believe how typical it was. Like, wait, this is exactly what I've seen 100 times, or heard other people say, or seen on, at military bases and stuff like that. This is one of those, I guess. I don't know, but it was just like that. Super simple. That was the end. First thing I did was I alerted one of my friends, got on the phone, left a voicemail. Hey, this just happened. And now I'm thinking, okay, where am I? Mile marker. What time was it? So I backed up a minute before I left the message. And that was it. Then I came home. I wrote it down in my little book. I did register the sighting because I don't know what else it was. I see planes all the time. I look at things in the sky all the time. I like looking up there. I like stars. I like planes. I like birds. Okay, I like all the things up there. I can honestly say I've never seen that to my remembrance ever. But there it was, and it was gone. Anyway, I registered the sighting with MUFON. MUFON has a giant database that tracks these things, and I use that. If you know, they are Mutual UFO Network, MUFON. They're the oldest in the world, I think, at this point. And then also as a backup, because MUFON has had issues with their database recently, with things disappearing or getting locked out. So just in case, there's an app out there called Phenom. And that's a way to register your events as well. Ideally, it's when it's actually happening. The Phenom thing is a pretty cool idea. If you're watching it right then and there, you go live or you record on this app, and it will record everything, including where exactly you are, like, geolocation, what time, what are the variables, all that stuff. It's pretty neat. But anyway, so I logged this in there as well. That is what happened. So I guess if I took my own poll or I voted in my own poll, which I can't, but if I did, I would have to be in the 2 times saw UFO category now, which as of right this second is in last place among the 4. Never is at 38.5%. 1 time is at 23%. 3 or more times is at 27%. And 2 times is only 11.5%. So anyways, didn't plan on it, wasn't looking for it. It was just there, and then it just wasn't. Okay, that's the truth. If you're a Christian friend, if you're part of the church that I pastor, called End Time Church, this may, I don't know what it does to your brain. Tell me. I know some of you and I talk about this often, but only very few of us talk about it. And most of the others kind of like, I don't know what to do with that. This is crazy, or this is all government or whatever. Don't be stupid. Where's your discernment? It was a funny one. I don't know, discernment. It's a thing. Anyways, okay, so let's get to your comments and see what y'all are saying here. Madam Rex with a bird and a UFO. That's exactly what it, and funny enough, like I said, I love birds, and it would just be like God drawing my attention with that. Wait, wouldn't he do that? Hey, Jake Mallory on YouTube. What's up, Jake? Who says, you look exactly like my brother-in-law, Gary, out of Houston, Texas. If you had his tattoo, could be his well, I don't have tattoo that I've shown the public, but anyways, that's cool, right? Everyone's got their doppelganger. In fact, I've never even been to Houston in my life, to be honest with you. Dallas or Tyler, Texas that's closer to Houston, right? That's as close as I've ever been. Yep. Well, that's cool. And Jake says, I have seen 2 in my life. There you go. And hey, I guess we're bros on that too. I'll get to your other comments as well. I'm just following Jake's here for a second. He says, the first time I was 15. If I would have had an extension ladder, I could have climbed up onto the top. It was that low. Wow. That's cool. I mean, that's got to be nerve-wracking. If you did have a ladder, would you try to, or would you run away? I think I would have run away. It was about 175 feet from me and about 25 feet off the ground. That's definitely low and close. Wow. And he says, I watched it for over an hour. That's an extreme amount of time. I mean, for these types of things. I hope you know that. That's tremendous. I don't know if you call it luck or whatever, but man, Usually they do not last that long. It was hovering over a small old folks home. Fascinating. Tyler, closer to Dallas. Yeah, it is. And he absolutely would have climbed into it or on it if it would have let me. Yeah, we diverge in personality, I guess, right there. There is no way I'm getting on that thing. But cool. That's a great experience. Thanks for relating that and sharing and trusting to share it, Jake. Super cool. And Madam Rex says, sounds similar to the ones I saw. Color, shape, daylight, rapid maneuvering. Yeah, except for that's your experience several years ago in a very, not very near to where this happened, but close enough. Not far at all, really. Maybe an hour, a 90-minute drive away from where yours was. But yeah, color, shape, and daylight, definitely. You had the rapid maneuvering, and you had several of them, right? At the same time. This was not going anywhere. If it did, it moved before I thought, and if it moved after, I didn't see that. It was just hanging there, which I guess to my brain, makes it more credible that I actually did see a UFO, because if I'm driving, just speeding along, and you see things flying like birds and planes all the time, and if you saw something moving, like, that's weird. I wonder, did I just see that? Did I get a good enough look? Did I see I'm trying to concentrate? There's no way I don't think I'd come on and tell you all this if it was moving. It disappeared rapid. I don't know. Again, you've seen both. If you watch enough videos, and even Skinwalker Ranch and stuff like that, like sometimes they speed away and sometimes they just freaking disappear. Like, right, just blink out. Bond Servant says, glad you shared this with everyone. I was nervous, Bond Servant, to be honest with you. Or unsure. I do know why. It's because most of my audience is not accepting, or feels weird about it, or what kind of pastor talks about this stuff, or like, well, who would even see that? You must be possessed or some kind of junk. I don't know. Anyway, that's why I did it, is because it's time to move on. It's high time. I think I wrote in the description, right? It's high time to get on with this. All of us to open up about this very real situation, because it's real. Okay. We're not making it up. It's not crazy people. That kind of stuff. I don't, what do you do with it? At a certain point, you just have to say it's true. And what are we going to do about that? How we process it as just humans, as Americans. If you're American like me, if you're a Christian like me, those are all different questions. Anyway, hopefully this encourages someone else who is a believer, maybe, to say it's okay. And hey, actually, I got a message from Susanna, who I know, who's in Ireland, and she says, pilots over Dublin, of course, that's Ireland, reported at UAP on May 29th, just a couple weeks ago. It made the news. It was, as everyone else describes, a flash of light that moves mega fast and disappears. You can Google it. Oh, I'm going to later. That's really great. Thanks, Susie. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think this is going to stop. I don't think this is going to become less common. I think it's going to become more. And hopefully with both the instant access to information and live streaming and social media that we have, everyone has in their pockets now, that this will be seen more and more and be more comfortable to tell people that you saw it or you had other kind of experience with it. And by the way, I feel fine. That was one of the questions of MUFON when you fill out their submission is, do you have any health effects? Because it has happened. So, anyway, I want to encourage y'all to do that. Again, if you're a Christian who wants to maybe keep it off the record or right now, or you just want to talk to somebody, maybe you think it's too extreme or whatever, or too much info to say publicly, you can go to wingsoftheeagle.com/podcast, and there's a form at the bottom of that page. You can securely fill it out with your name and story, email address, and I'll get it. Me alone, right? No one else will see it. If you want to utilize that, please do so. Sorry, now I'm getting back to the comments. Madam Rex, it was a sphere, as in more like a basketball rather than a disc. I think so. Yeah, I think so. It looked like they have a more uniform, no edges sticking out. It was like a ball. Bond Servant says, we have a lot of military jets here, etc. Yeah, she lives in Colorado, so in that area where I should just shut up. I'm unsure. I saw a UFO, but one morning taking daughter to work, saw a cluster of lights just hovering a distance away, and then it disappeared. Right? It's based on that. It might well have been, or several of them, right? The lights thing, like there's the famous Phoenix lights a few years ago in Arizona, highly documented. Some people say there were a lot of lights. Like maybe the impression is that they're all different different objects, different spheres, different orbs or whatever. But some people said they were all just lights of one craft. They were like, maybe they were orbs, I don't know, under as a part of this other craft, which is very hard to see, like it was black. So I don't know in your case, but there's definitely both. There's examples, plenty of both, of several at once, and then or one part of one thing. And yes, just disappearing is a thing. That in fact it's the thing that they do. Yeah. And Jake is just giving more details here. Okay, this is good. Hang on, let me catch up. He said he definitely would have gotten on it if it let him. It was a Saturday morning during the summer, like obviously this was. Says I was going hunting and I was walking down some old abandoned train tracks. I saw it. I froze in place. My first instinct was to shoot it, but it spoke to me. Okay. It warned me not to. Believe me or not. Yet I don't disbelieve it, because you're not the first one to say things like that. I actually don't remember what happened after. I forgot it for about 16 years. One day it popped into my head. I started remembering everything. I totally sounds wild, but again, Jake, this is a very common situation for whatever reason. Was it because of this thing when if there's communication of some kind, maybe you didn't want to be shot, maybe if you shoot that it would have to shoot back, and maybe they didn't want to do whatever it was, didn't want to do that. That the whole lost time or memory lapsing is totally common. This is one of the reasons why I very strongly think we need to get all of the information that we know out into the public, because people are being hurt potentially, and their minds are being messed with, their memories. This is not cool. All right. Even if it's just that, forgetting things for 16 years is not okay. If you did that to me, That's not okay. Right? And Jake says, I believe that some are good angels and some are fallen angels. Do you mean what you saw was an angel? Like an actual creature? Remember, God told us some of the angels were cast down onto or into the earth and some into the, I think you mean oceans. Eh, Not really. He's right. Revelation 12, and I teach that verse as a future tense. I'm very convinced that it's a future event, not a past event. Yes, there are fallen angels. In other words, those who disobeyed God. Yes, there was an incident in the book of Genesis, chapter 6, of course, where we get what they are called the sons of God. They are obviously angels, other creatures that chose to rebel and do their own thing and to not stick with what God told them to do. Jude and Peter back that up. Enoch, if you accept that, backs that up as well. So they definitely came to the earth and did some bad stuff and taught some extreme information, like information human beings did not have. Again, this is mostly from Enoch, but a little bit from Genesis. That they gave information that mankind did not possess directly from heaven, as it were, right? From the angelic world. And anyways, so there's that. So in the future, yes, there will be a war in heaven where, like Revelation 12 tells us, Satan and his angels fight with Michael and his angels, and Satan and his angels are cast to the earth. Now, that has not happened yet. It does not say anything about being cast into the oceans. Unless you tell me what you're referring to, but nothing says that specifically. And Jake, if you don't know me or my, ministry or my story, I'm kind of obsessed with end times and supernatural Bible verses. Like, the scriptures are very, very important to me. Bondservant says definitely a cluster. What she saw, okay, in Colorado, definitely a cluster. It's like individual things that are together. Okay, I got you. Not like those huge military jets that look triangular. Well, now there are some, not a lot. There are some military jets that are like the old Blackbird and the stealth bomber and a few other, I'm sure they're still classified, but they're not out there in the world really. They're triangular shape generally, like a boomerang. But I'm talking about with lights on the bottom that are in the shape of a V or a triangle. Those are not ours. I know some people think they are, but I do not. The evidence that I've seen does not lead to that conclusion. Bondservant says, I've been watching some of the Skinwalker vids and trying to wrap my brain around it. You and I talked about the area, right? The actual area of where Utah and Colorado, New Mexico, of course, that whole region, Arizona, that area, that deformed craton. Is that how you say it? Craton or craton? It's basically a part of the Earth's crust, right? The plate that North America sits on, and the coastlines are where the other plates kind of meet it, and then there's this in between area between the main plate and this coast that's a map or something that you had showed me called the deformed craton. Or that area is big. I mean, it's several states are in that zone, including those ones that we're talking about: Colorado, Utah, the Four Corners area, right? New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, and also going up south and then up the other side into the East Coast, which in that zone on the East Coast is where I live, where I saw this on Saturday, where I saw my original one when I was a kid, and where our sister Madam Rex saw hers several years ago. So it may be a hotter spot than others. I don't know. But there seems to be a lot of action, certainly in those places. So there could be a connection. I don't know. Okay, I don't want to miss anyone's contribution, so let's take a look at where we're broadcasting, and YouTube and Facebook look okay. I'm on Instagram as well, by the way. It never seems to work out on Instagram. I see some people popping in and out, but if you have a comment, please go ahead and make it, even if you're on IG or X. We have our own app, by the way, as a church. If you're interested, if you're a Christian and you like this online church live streaming type of fellowshipping, then get the Endtime app, endtime.app. We'll put you directly in the App Store. I don't see a comment on the app. Okay, cool. Okay. Anyway, guys, that is my story. We'll see where it goes. That could be it for my life. Okay. Maybe some of y'all will, can update it as we go. And please do, if anyone here, again, wants to utilize that contact form, if you're not comfortable saying something in public, go to, again, wingsoftheeagle.com/podcast. And there's a contact form at the bottom there where you can fill it out. And you don't have to use it for UFO sightings or whatever, but that's why it was created. So, but you can use it. Okay. And again, we do have a Patreon that we're building out. One of the levels, we're working on a new book, supporting the ministry just generically, because we need funds to do this, to be able to do this full time. That's what God called me to do. So here I am. Courses, we have courses that span, it's a lot of end time related stuff, but there's tons of material that you can support us with and get access to all the courses we have. Flee to the Mountains is the original book that I wrote in 2019. This one right here. You can get that. FleeToTheMountains.com on paperback, on hardcover, on audiobook, on digital PDF download, all that stuff. And there's a course attached to it, which you can take in that course bundle as well. Anyway, just telling you all the different ways you can get involved and support us and learn something, hopefully. Right. And then there's the aviary, which you see at the bottom of your screen. Now that's geared to anyone. Doesn't matter if you're a Christian or not. For $5 a month, we want to make a private network. It's a private group on Patreon that you have to be a member to see. And there'll be videos there. We have 3 of them uploaded already, specifically about the top things that are true about this UFO topic that you may not be aware of. And we're deep diving into whistleblowers and things of that nature that are coming out maybe a little more not as widely known, right? Not on Fox News or CNN, or in front of Congress, but on Reddit and stuff like that. So just to talk over all that, and is it legit, and all the interesting versions of and permutations of that topic. Okay, so if you want to get involved in that, we'd love to have you. Doesn't matter what your beliefs are. Go to patreon.com/Wings of the Eagle and join the aviary. Bond Servant says she has one last question. Hang on. Madam Rex says, cool point. Stanton Friedman never saw UFO. If you don't know who Stanton Friedman is, he is one of the greatest, most famous UFO researchers ever. He might be the best. He just passed away not too long ago, but those of us in the 80s and 90s who grew up and learned about this stuff probably learned from him, or at some level from his work. And it is excellent. It is not kooky stuff. It's scientific. He's a physicist, wasn't he? Anyway, he never saw a UFO, but he didn't need to know they exist. He didn't need to know they exist, like gravity. That's a great point. Okay. Even if you've never seen one, doesn't mean they're not real. Just for whatever reason, you haven't had the pleasure. But the reason why he would say that, and thank you for pointing that out, madam, is that the amount of legitimate evidence is overwhelming. There's really no doubt. I mean, the safe bet is to go with that. The risky bet is to say they don't exist. I mean, very risky. I saw it. I mean, like, people at a certain point, you're just like, who is it? Brandon Fugel, the the owner of Skinwalker Ranch. People ask him that, are you a believer? He's like, it's got nothing to do with belief. I'm an experiencer. I saw a UFO on the property, and a lot of other witnesses saw it with me. So he is not doubting it in any way. It's not a question of belief. This is not a religious question or something subjective. It's not subjective. It's objective. It's an object. There it is. What are you going to do with that? All right. So like Brandon Fugel said, like I'm saying, it's not a question of do you believe it. If you are in that place and you think it's some kind of belief situation, it's not. That doesn't mean we know motivations or we know reasons or or origins or purpose. We don't know any of that. I'm really caution against any of us having those opinions right now. You can have theories, hypothesis, ideas, conversations, great. But to say it is this and this is the purpose, we are not there yet, because there's such an extreme level of what is truly known that is being kept under a lid. So you don't know it. So you don't know what you don't know. Right? But what you do know, what you can't keep a lid on is these things popping up and popping out, and regular dudes like us seeing them, or more, interacting with them, or having them communicate with you, like Jake, right? Bryce says, I've never seen one. It is what it is, brother. Yeah, some do and some don't. Last question. Okay, now I'm taking you at your word here, bondservant. Do you think the second heaven will be opened so more is seen in these times? That's kind of a nerdy Bible term. Okay, I love it. The audience might not totally know what we mean. Short version is in the Bible there's a cosmology of 3 levels of heaven. When the word is used, it's used in the plural. Shemayim in Hebrew is plural. Like Jerusalem, by the way, Jerusalem itself, the city, is plural. And we know that from the New Testament because there is 2. There's a heavenly and a Jerusalem and an earthly Jerusalem. All right. So anyway, there's 3 heavens. There's the heavens, the ones that we can perceive, the ones that we see, the sky, the atmosphere, even oxygen, the breath to breathe in and out. You're looking at the heavens right here, in a way. Okay, the first heaven, you're looking at it. This is it. The air here. But it encompasses all the way up to our atmosphere, where the birds fly, where airplanes and silvery metallic objects are flying, including the atmosphere above that, including where space, where the moon and the heavenly bodies are. Now, some translators or teachers will say that's the second heaven up in space. I don't believe that at all. I think anything that you can see with your human eyeballs regularly, just us interacting and looking up into the sky, seeing the stars and the moon and the sun. That's all the first heaven. So when it says second or third, it doesn't denote height per se. Not like, oh, if I go a mile high, I'm in the second heaven. And if I go 100 miles high, I'm in the third heaven. The phrase in Hebrew sometimes is called higher, the highest heaven. But again, there's something more being said there. Okay. So anyway, so the second heaven is a place where God is called, he's in the heaven of, he's in the third heaven. Yeah, Paul the apostle says, I was taken to the third heaven and I saw God and I heard all these things that no man can utter. The language of angels and all that stuff. Okay, so that's third heaven. But what's the second one? We can't see it, but it's not where God is. Right? So you get a little glimpse of that, I believe, in Daniel chapter 10, where you have not God and his throne, but also not where we can see. So, if that's the case, I think you can make a case that after what we talked about earlier in Revelation 12, in that battle, that war in heaven, it's called in heaven, that war is over. Then you have this condition where the fallen angels and the devil are actually on the earth itself. They're not in that heavenly realm where Michael can fight you and God is right. That area is swept out, is swept clean. So there's no, and Joel, the prophet Joel, and the book of Acts and other places definitely refer to in these, that's the end times. Okay, that's the end of the story. That's the last 3.5 year period now. When Satan and his angels are cast out, we've only got 3.5 years till the age is over and Jesus returns, establishes the millennium, his kingdom, at the end of the world. That's the very end of that process. So at that point, the second heaven is, I don't know if it's saying opened, but it's empty of enemies, of things that would restrict prayer, angels being dispatched to help you, for example, for your prayers not being hindered. And there's no fighting among these creatures that are in this second heaven. And that's important to note that the second heaven denotes angelic realms, the fallen angels or principalities. God's angels can be there. That's not a human place. Right? That's why Paul says, I'm not even allowed to tell you what was said there. Like, that's not human habitation. You can't get there. So anyway, when you say it's open, the only again, I think heaven's open like a scroll, like Revelation 6, when the Lord returns. Then you see this ripping open that you could say it's like a dimensional rift or whatever. The heavens are rolled back like a scroll. But that's when Jesus returns. So my answer is I don't know of any scripture, unless I'm really having a senior moment over here. I don't know of anything that says before Jesus returns that there is a opening of the second heaven. I don't think there's anything. So if the Bible doesn't say it, I'm not going to believe it, or I'm not going to teach it. Like always, that's my MO, right? So I'm not making the connection, no, between UFO appearances and that realm. I'm not saying I'm opposed to that way of thinking or that it's bad or something or unbiblical. I'm not saying that. But I'm definitely not. I've not reached the conclusion that they're connected. Madam Rex saying different dimensions equals heavens. I don't know about that. Or it's more to it maybe than that, right? It's possible that I mean that's a framework, or that's a way to understand how you can have other realms with creatures and God, etc., around you, but you can't see them. Now that other dimensions, higher dimensions, is a way to explain that paradigm. It might be that that's the case. Yeah, I hear you. That's what I figured. It's just a possibility, and it is a possibility. But even within that, it could be true. But if you're talking about the theories, theoretical physics and higher spatial dimensions and stuff like that, there's more than just one or two. Like there's second and third heaven. Okay, well, we've got one. That means 2 and 3 must be in other dimensions. Fine, but there's the theoretically there's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 dimensions we're talking about. So, right? Do you know what I mean? Are you following? So like even if you could say this second and third heaven are you live in these highest of dimensions, well, what if there's 14? That means they're in, potentially, for just the sake of argument, they would be in dimension 13 and 14. That means we have 3 dimensions, and the fourth we say is time. So let's say 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10. All those are not the second heaven in that theory, okay? It's not the second heaven, but it's not human possibility either, or as far as we understand. We don't know how to do that. So you see what I mean? So like that could be the explanation. Heavens meaning other higher dimensions, but those higher dimensions could be way, way, way up there, way above where we're thinking. So it's possible that, again, dimension, let's say 5 through 10 or whatever, are neither heavenly or earth, and maybe those can be manipulated by people, smart, really, really smart people who have maybe knowledge passed down from supernatural sources, okay, like we talked about earlier, for example, or other creatures, maybe other creatures or forms of life have access to those higher dimensions, but still not the heavenly dimensions, not fallen angel level or angel level or God, right? Okay, that's really long. Multiple dimensions wormholes. Yeah, I mean that's people say what they want about string theory, but that's a popularized way to put it. Now that has a specific set of theoretical, results and whatever. But the possibility that our universe is made of multiple other dimensions is becoming more and more accepted, like is true. So you can have many other dimensions that are below the second heaven, is my message on that, possibly. And a quick image of Bill and Ted traveling through time. Yeah, right, in the phone booth. Yep. Or through a wormhole, right? I mean, yeah, that's maybe how you'd go, but that would be a time traveling thing. Like that's how you access the fourth dimension, is through, you have to pop into different points in space and time. That's maybe how UFOs work. But again, that doesn't necessarily mean we're talking about angels or second heaven or whatever. Just saying, I mean, I don't know. And definitely be excellent to each other, right? Like when Ezekiel went up in a chariot, where did he go? Is it possible that we see the second heaven in that instance when it was opened and there was, yeah, possibly. Yeah, possibly. But again, that's God, getting him direct, right? So God has the wormhole or whatever, the escalator, however you want to look at it. You're right. He can go zip all of them, all 10 or 12 or 14 from the top to the bottom, no problem. You can bypass all those other ones, right? So even if you were seeing the second heaven, it doesn't mean there's others that weren't in between Ezekiel and the earth. You know what I mean? I'm just thinking out loud here. Right. Dimensions 5 through 10. Narnia, the Teletubbies, SpongeBob, Atlantis, Brigadoon, right? All the fantastic stories. What about Middle Earth is in there? It's called Middle Earth. Why not put it in the middle? No, super nerd. Don't you know Tolkien was talking about this Earth only in the past? Okay. Anyway, we're really getting off course there. Okay, that's enough for today, I think, guys. Be excellent to each other, as the wise men say. Please feel free to reach out. Please feel free to share this. We need your support if you are a Christian. Fill out that form if you want to communicate, and I really kind of have been, delaying or not sure how to proceed or whatever, but I'm still very concerned and pretty convinced that if there is, even if it's just going as is here with UFO phenomenon and disclosure and this and that, but what if there is some major event, whether it be government announced or not, or UFO announced, or Russia or China or somebody else decides to disclose everything, and there's a crisis out of this, and there would be a major crisis. It would be a crisis of international importance and maybe the most significant event of this century, or maybe in the past 2 millennia. That would shake the faith of many believers, and it would put the church leaders, quote unquote, those of us who are responsible for flocks of God's people, to need to speak to each other. And so that's why, just as a paper thin way of starting that conversation, there's a webpage called UAP Council, uapcouncil.com. You can go there. There's a Facebook page and stuff like that. It's just a way, again, to connect to, if we want to have conversations, whether it be online or in person or whatever, as the church generally, especially leader denominations like that level, but any level. So look into that if you're so led. But anyway, here we go. This is exciting times. We love you. I love you. God loves you even more. Reach out to me on the X platform if you like. Manti4, again, MANTEI4. Quick update of the poll. Got a couple more votes since we've been on the air. We've almost got a tie. Not quite. About 37% say never. Still now 30% say 3 or more times they've seen UFO. 22% one time, 11% 2 times. So I'm coming up and bringing up the rear. Me and Jake, brother Jake, with us 2 times, us 2-timers. Anyway, friends, love you. See you next time. This is Wings of the Eagle. This is Unsealed. Please, please, please share this with somebody. And Lord willing, we'll see you next time. And for End Time Church, that means Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. And again, if you like what we do, think this is worthwhile, support us. Bye-bye.